Hi, everybody. Nice to have you here. Today, I will talk a little bit about my experience from yesterday. So, I was to this Vilnius Startup Village conference, and this is about how you should save urban areas and urban villages uh, from disappearing. Yes, so people leaving the urban areas and move into the cities, and you have decided that this is not good, so they will spend 21 billion euro to try to create opportunities in rural areas. So I was thinking, because when you read about it, it was a conference and there will be a lot of, innovative farmers with new ideas and so on. So it will be really good to go there and see and hear what they are talking about. Oh boy, I was wrong. Yeah. I came there and there were politicians, there were, um, representatives for, you know, big companies and economical companies. There were EU participations and so on. A lot of fancy rich people with so nice and exclusive suits, and the ladies were really spectacular with their dresses and so on, and everybody were there taking photos with each other and shaking hand and connections. So I guess this was more about to make sure that these 21 billion euro ends up in the right pockets, because there were no farmers there. There were no people from any rural areas at all. But I was there, so I was thinking, what should this talk about today? So the problem is people in Vilnius leaving the rural areas in high pace here. It's really fast. So depopulation of areas. And I can still not see why that is wrong in many cases, but I will talk about that later. Because in Lithuania, you have this heritage from USSR that they have kolchos. So they forced people out to the countryside and live in communities, and they mostly work with agriculture. And nobody in Lithuania want this area, you know, going back to this system. Not the chance. Everybody hates it, so nobody want to be there. So why should you actually save this structure? Through history, cities and villages and civilizations come up, and when the function and purpose is not there anymore, they disappear. No, but that's another story. EU have decided that they want to save these villages. And the problem is that there's a lot of old people and they need a lot of service. And there's not money for this anymore. There is no people there repair roads and grids and nets and internet and electricity. There's too little doctors and nurses. There's too little of everything. You can say too little of taxpayers, because in Lithuania we have a situation where people leave. So Lithuania loses 1.4% of their population every year. At the same time, the population get older and older at the same time. So you have in the whole country this very tough demographic situations, like rest of Europe. We have it everywhere in the Western society. So what was their solution? Well, you will educate, or you will find young, innovative people, and they will create new agriculture ideas with technology, and around them there will flourish and people and the new societies in these old villages. And I thought, is this really real? Should they really spend 21 billion on this? Because I come from Sweden. We have had this discussion for as long as I have lived. You know, everybody leave the north of Sweden because there's no job, and they're moving down to the south of Sweden because all the people are there. And the big reason is they want to find and be with other people, young people, and so on. So when they are finished with their university or normal education, they don't go back. We've seen it for so many years. It doesn't happen. So this is a hard task that these people are setting up for. But yeah, well, they try. Anyway, there was this agriculture university professor that actually said, we don't have these people. We don't have them, you know. It's around 7 to 10% of everybody who goes to agriculture gymnasium who actually finished. All the others start to work before. So we don't have the people. So where should you find the people? And yeah, that's the situation. And why is this a little bit interesting for me? Because I came up with this idea, me and my wife. We found out this long time ago. We travel around first in southern Sweden to find a farm. And you have some premises that you really want. So one of them, one of the really important things we found out was you can't be too far away from a big city because life will be too complicated for you. It's already struggle with many things. You don't make it more struggle than it is. So if you are too far away, it becomes too expensive. It's too hard. You are too isolated to be safe. And so we wanted to find really something closer to uh, some big cities in southern Sweden, Malmö and Lund and Helsingborg and so on. And we couldn't because everything was occupied. Everybody wants the same, you know, and that's the reason. Because if you buy a house too far away, 10, 15 years later, it will be worth nothing because nobody want to buy it. Because, you know, the push is to the other direction. It goes into the cities and so on. So 21 billion will just, you know, boop, disappear. And then we went to Spain, to Canary Island, and tried to find something there. And there, everything. I can talk for hours about this experiment, but that was hilarious. But we couldn't find anything there, of course not. And we went back to here to Lithuania, and we starting to look here. And we started actually far away because we wanted a lake, a big lake, to have a place around a big lake because it's fantastic. And we couldn't because it was too far away. We saw if we should start to build something, we will not get any help out here. Can't get people out here, companies, it's too far away, it's too complicated. So we had to change our idea about having a lake. So I said, okay, we find something closer to Vilnius, really close. So we have that quality. Because at that time, my wife wanted to, you know, go to yoga, be around cafes with friends and so on. And it's really an important point. So when if you planning to build your permaculture homestead or some farm or something, you know, you really have to think about the social things in it. Because yes, We are individuals, we are an individual animal, person, but we are also social animal, social person who wants to be with other people and do things with other people. And we need so much other people and the structure of the society. There is a reason why we have modern cities, because they have a lot of function in them that we need. You need to go to the doctor, the dentist, need something, buy something, get help from some experts and so on. They are all very close to the big cities. So we went through this, and we are not so different from anybody else. So we already saw this many, many years ago. You cannot be out in the countryside. It sounds good, and I see it on YouTube. I see all these people on their YouTube channels. They're talking about this idyllic. They have this fantastic house, the animals, the nature, and they walking around barefoot and so on. But there is a reason why they're making YouTubes, to not go crazy. They are out there alone. So maybe that's why I do YouTube. So I'm out there alone, but I'm still very close. I'm really close to the center of Vilnius. And here comes, why Vilnius? Why not some of the other big cities in Lithuania? Yeah, because of the demographic situation. They are big, but not that big. You know, at least Vilnius will stay for longest, because we are seeing this totally new situation in the whole West. Yes, the population on Earth is growing, but that's India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Africa. It's not here. Here is the total opposite. So you have to prepare and think. So it took a long time for us to find the spot where we finally settled. And maybe that was a good thing, because you go through your thoughts, you go through what you really need and want before you just throw yourself out in the countryside and have this, fantasy picture of how it is. And then reality hits, and yeah, so you should drive there every day building your house or something, and that cost, and that is time and petrol and so on. So you there are many things to this. That's a little bit why I do this video and talking about this. So some of you other don't need to do this same problem or have the same problem and think that maybe I'm not, fanatic enough. No, no, no. Don't be fanatic. Just plan so it fits you the best. So now when I was on this conference, they just declared to me that my choice was totally right, because they had no smart idea whatsoever to save the countryside or the urban areas. You know, there were drones, and there were, robots who look like dogs who going around with pesticides and so on. But if I'm not totally wrong historically, when the tractor came into agriculture, millions of jobs disappeared. They were no longer needed. Yeah? When the machines came in, now you have these effective drones that flying there day and night and doing their stuff and do the job for thousands of tractors. And in these tractors, there are farmers sitting and driving. Even when you don't need those farmers anymore, then there are less farmers in the countryside working. So how should innovation in this sense makes new jobs in the countryside? Yeah, so yeah, that's my idea about this conference. This was, yeah, we'll see. I will follow up on it, and I think it's interesting to see what's happened to different countries here in Europe now when we have this new demographic situation. And it's interesting for me because I like to plan. I'm planning for this. What is the best way? How can you benefit from this? And how can you avoid doing stupid things? So this was my take on this really exclusive exclusive conference with, and it's about so much money I can't understand, you know. But that's how I feel about it. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and you have some ideas. I don't really see that their model works, how they should stop people from leaving these rural areas, because when you see these rural areas, they are not nice. They are not nice. Some of them are beautiful, but these are more summer places where people come in the summer and they have a lot of money. They come from, they have good jobs, and they coming there and repair everything, and you know, have their small little beautiful cottage and so on. This is not what you see, you know, in many places. So yeah, that was all. Vilnius Startup, no, Vilnius Startup Village Conference. Yes, thank you for today.